Okay, we're here again. This time we're on chapter 6, the magical power of endurance. Just as kind of a reminder of what all this is about, I'm kind of setting up a library, I guess we could say, of foundational, fundamental tools, elements of achievement and success at any level. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, if you want to be a kindergarten teacher, a cop, accountant, a professional athlete, performer, whatever, whatever level you want to take it to. And of course, the more serious you are about taking your game to a higher level, the more you probably have to get involved with this and also get some people around you who can really help you, a team, or a posse, hopefully not a bunch of hanger-ons who just take your money and time and fame. But you always need people, anyone who's moved up, you somewhere in the background. I was listening to some old band. I'm an old head myself, grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, around that time. And, there's a band called The Who, and they became greatly successful. And the guitar player is the main writer of the songs. And he basically said that if it wasn't for the bass player, John Entwistle, being there and just saying, yeah, we can do this. You can do this, right? Not a lot. He wasn't, coaching him in exhaustive, intensive detail, just kind of a guy there with some encouraging words. That's sometimes all you need. But you always need, someone or someone's, at least one, probably more, a handful at least, right? To get you through the day, to help you through. Maybe it's that magically talented surgical team that keeps you alive or keeps you healthy. Or maybe it's a past teacher, or maybe it's a spouse, or maybe it's a family member, a mother, father, brother, sister, friend, right? Whomever, You don't always hear successful people talk about those essential people in their lives, but they're there. They're there somewhere. It's almost impossible to do anything great, for sure, but even at the mid and lower levels of achievement, if you will, without some help, right? So, okay, so this is power of endurance. One of the reasons why you hear patience is a virtue. That's the old, I don't even know if that's tied into Christianity or not, but it's kind of an old quote statement that's been around for some time. Probably most people think it's religious related, but not necessarily so. It could be sectarian, non-religious, but we are creatures of great fallibility, right? We don't know much. We only know a small fraction of what there is to know, never mind what there isn't to know, what we don't know yet, I guess I should say. We're all equal in our infinite ignorance, even of the known facts and information and scientific data and so forth. All the known stuff that's out there that humans know. It's a very small, it's an infinitesimally small subset of all knowledge, right? Ask any scientist, they know that they're at a serious disadvantage, not only because we're humans and we only have so much brain capacity, and only, humans, even if you have a lot of knowledge, it's difficult for one person, unless you got a supercomputer, to use or process that knowledge, on a regular basis, right? But most scientists are aware, what we don't know is staggering, right? Allegedly, and this is why I've read a lot, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know the specifics or the details. Why these disciplines? Why science? Why math? Why history? Why philosophy? Why theology? Why law? Why whatever, right? And I started reading. I might have mentioned this a couple times. Started reading for about 10 years in a row, 10 or 12 years in a row. Every summer, I'd pick a genre or discipline and just read 5, 6, 7 books, whatever I had time for that summer. to get a kind of a general feel for what was going on. In regards to math, allegedly, and I'm just parroting what I've read, I don't know more than that, right? But according to the big brains out there, the big brain mathematicians and scientists who use mathematics, especially in abstract physics, right? In theorizing, theoretical physics, I should say. You know, allegedly, there's an endless number of possible math in the plural, right? We just use a very small subset of all possible maths. Why do we have them? They basically came about because of a need, right? A certain need was discerned, you know, and a mathematical system was created, right? So anyways, what we don't know is almost unlimited, right? True end is not in reaching of the limit, speaking of limit or unlimited, but in a completion which is limitless. Read that again. I'm looking at the name, Rabindranath. I'm going to take that first name. I like that name. Rabindranath, like Ragnar Lothbrok, the King of Kings from Viking series and History Channel. Anyways, true end is not in the reaching of the limit, but in a completion which is limitless. This sounds like scientists, you know, Stephen Hawking mentioned, and I've read several of his book, Brief History of Time. You know, I read Einstein's book on mathematics, and other theories, quantum theory, theory of relativity. And you know, I'm not saying I'm reading like the mathematical computations. There was one book that I read. It wasn't written by Einstein, but it was a graphic representation, like a graphic novel, like cartoons, pictures, little bubble statements. You know, that's about my level of understanding physics, you know, but nevertheless, it did teach. It was pretty complex. It did teach some of the basics that I was looking for. Anyways, true end is not in the reaching of the limit. And I don't know if Einstein said this, but probably Einstein, Feynman, Hawking, other great theorists probably saw the same thing, right? If you're working in that field, then you, with enough time and exposure and experience, you all see some of the basic tenets or principles of that theory, that field in which you work, right? So true end is not in the reaching of the limit, but in a completion which is limitless. So that's basically saying that there's potential growth there forever, right? Once we reach perfection, and we function perfectly every day, physically, intellectually, spiritually, morally, ethically, financially, I don't know, whatever you throw in there. And we know all, well, then I guess at that point, I guess we're going to create our own universes, right? But we have unlimited opportunities to learn and to grow, right? So looking at it again for like a fifth time, true end is not in the reaching of the limit, but in a completion which is limitless, right? So I for instance, know of a, I know people in all fields, in religious fields, scientific fields, fields of economics, you know, that they say a similar thing, that the opportunity for learning is always there, or to refining one's learning. And I'm constantly doing that, right? So anyways, here we go. So this is an unusual beginning to one of the chapters. And if you're interested in learning about writing, I give you some of that too, as we move forward in these principles of achievement. But here she's starting off with an example, exemplification. Examples usually develop the thesis. Here we're talking about power of endurance. So she begins right off the bat. This is a little unorthodox for her. Generally speaking, with essays, fiction does this all the time, starting off with maybe some background story, you know, leading up to the present, go back in time, backstory, leading up to the present, right? So here she did a little anecdote. That's perfectly fine for supporting your point, but usually she begins with some type of theoretical point, or a more abstract statement of theory or principle or fact, right? Here she gets right into a story, right? And I'm sure right after this, she'll get into the more, I should say more concrete general statements of theory or principle, right? One morning years ago, I woke up with an overwhelming feeling of aloneness overtaking my soul. Who hasn't experienced that? If you haven't, it's coming. You'll feel it eventually, right? We all feel that at some opportunity of loss, right? We may lose a job, a loved one, our health, whatever. I've felt that numerous times, much more in the past than now, because I've been using this stuff to kind of help lift, right? Along with other sources, human and divine. I felt as if my spirit was covered by layers of dark clouds. I lived, but made no difference in the world. Hey, that should sound familiar to pretty much everybody, I would guess, right? I had given nothing significant to Mother Earth. I took what the world allowed me to take. In the realm of my thoughts, I left no mark. I left the world. I felt the world could do very well without me. I didn't see any hope and only despair. Then I picked up a book, right? So this, again, this is kind of what do you do when you reach your darkest moments of despair? Pick up a book, go for a walk, go for a vacation, get away. Maybe get away mentally, maybe get away physically, go talk to someone, go walk alone. I don't know. What's your dharma? What's inspiring you in the moment? What is your guru, the guru of you, telling you? It's in there. Tap it. That is your source of greatness. That's kind of what thick-faced black heart is, your dharma, right? The book is called, I'm going to chop this up, Nan Hao Jin by Chuan Zhu. Great teacher, philosopher, lived in China over 2,200 years ago. When I opened the book, the first chapter entitled Soaring, tears welled up from the depths of my being. This has happened to me. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I died 4 times about a week ago. My heart almost stopped. My heart rate went down below 20 beats per minute. And I passed out 4 times, one time for 20 seconds. I was gone. Kind of young to be gone, but people die at any age, so no big deal. You can go anytime, right? Some don't even make it to this world. Some are to a tune of 1 million a year. Some are aborted before life begins, right? So you can check out anytime. This is why, Stephen Hawking, I don't know if he said it, but most likely I think I've heard him say it. Henry Ford, almost anyone who is worth their salt or their gold, their weight in gold, right? Talk about that, right? Stephen Jobs, you're already dead. What are you waiting for? Do what you know you need to do, Dharma, right? So she tapped into that thing there. For me, this is weird, but 2 things. I forgot what the other thing was, but I watched that movie. It was the 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy. And Rocket is pretty much dead, right? He starts, I didn't see any, I was all dark. I didn't see any lights or talk to any celestial beings. But anyways, Rocket goes, it looks like he's somewhere in the nether regions, maybe a celestial nether, probably celestial upper, happy, lighted, heaven-like regions. And he sees his 3 friends. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to say too much or ruin it for you. And, well, I'm going to give away a big part here anyways. But anyways, it's for my demonstration purposes. So he says, I want to be with you. His 3 friends who were killed. And his closest friend, she says, no, you have to stay. You have something to do, and pushes him back, right? So I had my Rocket moment. And the thing was, he went back to Earth, back to life, I should say, not back to Earth, but back to life. They weren't on Earth. Come to find out, Star-Lord, I think it is, right? The human, the guy from Earth, says, you know, I gotta go do some things, take care of some things. I gotta take a break from guarding the galaxy, right? And he says, you know, Rocket, I want you to be captain, right? Wow, what an opportunity. So, and he's going to lead by example. What was his great leadership capability or thing that he did that was beyond, above and beyond the call of duty? He went back and saved all the, it looked like thousands of animals that were being experimented upon or using for experimentation by the evil, you know, the Dr. Evil character. I forget his name, but and he saved them all, right? And he turns out to be quite the hero. That experience, and I've talked about this before, that one harrowing experience lifted him up, enlivened him, and prepared him and strengthened him and put him on another level or many levels higher than where he was before. Just that experience that he had. Almost dying, seeing his friends killed, really coming to understand that, yes, he is a raccoon. He realized that I'm not a raccoon. He kept saying that, right? I know he is a raccoon, right? He even saved a bunch of little raccoons. And I'm giving away a lot. But anyways, go see it. You've probably seen it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. So that happened to me. So this is kind of her moment, right? And she starts to sob. I was watching that movie with my wife and youngest son. The other two kids are gone. And I go, this is me. I'm Rocket. I came back because I have things to do, right? So she realizes, you know, a book about soaring, and tears welled up in her eyes, right? In the North Sea of China, legend says there is a fish called the kun, which is thousands of meters long, the pung, right? Fish evolves into a bird called the pung bird. So you can read that, you know, and the bird soars 3,000, but first it spins in a wind tornado, rises to the height of 90,000 kilometers, you know, and transforming and so forth, right? As I contemplated the moral of the story, you can read it if you want to. Again, this is free online. Just type in the title, Big Face Black Heart PDF. I realized that when one is destined for greater accomplishments in life, the preparation for such a journey can be extensive. Some of the greatest movers and shakers throughout history, another reason probably why I read history, or about the great people in historically, right? George Washington, case in point, went through a lot of trials and tribulations. Abraham Lincoln, a couple of people that saved this country and helped it move along, this great democratic experiment, even though it's a constitutional republic, but that's a future video. Anyways, helped this country move forward, right? And then one of the greatest at the time, and it was the greatest democratic experiment at the time where the country was ruled, should be. Not always literally, but probably more or less so these days. Ruled by the people, for the people, right? That type of thing, right? States are sovereign. States are the people. Fed is Washington. Washington cannot dictate to the states what to do. That's why the states during COVID determined at the governorship level what to do. Each state determined their own course, right? All righty then. Just as the Pung struggled upward without making any visible progress towards his destination, despite the ridicule from other birds and insects, he continued to flap his wings straight upward, arrived at the great height, with lesser birds still chattering about his foolishness, spread his great wings and soared effortlessly southward, more typos, southward into the celestial pool, right? You must develop your powers of endurance as the Pung did, even in the face of criticism and ridicule. This is what I'm talking about, right? In order to achieve your goals. So there's a lot of trials and tribulations and difficulties and challenges and belittling situations where, you know, you get in front of people and you fail miserably. It doesn't work out. You're not well-spoken or insightful or humorous or whatever your cause or reason for getting up and speaking in front of people is, or maybe you write something and that doesn't work out. Or maybe you go for a job, that doesn't work out, or you go for a relationship, that doesn't work out, right? And you fail in life and love and work. Guess what? We all fail. So life is about failing, right? Being imperfect beings, being forgetful beings, being weak beings, right? I think it's funny that people say, oh, those religious people are weak. Everybody's weak. Give me a break, right? We're all living a tenuous life. You know, every year in the United States alone, 3 million people die. Around the world, I don't know what it is, right? On average, 3 million people a year die from disease and accidents and other things, right? So our life is very tenuous. Nobody's strong. Nobody's that strong, right? You can strengthen yourself for sure. I'm not saying you can't, right? But ultimately, to really strengthen yourself, you have to understand your extreme limitations, right? Be humble. Being humble is one element of being successful. Look at the greatest people in any field, right? People love Keanu Reeves, right? Keanu, always so humble. He is. People who achieve and stay there don't achieve and stay there by being jerks. You know, those people want to take them down, probably end up taking themselves down faster than anybody else can, just because of a lack of character, right? So that's why you got a real character, and that's therefore this, right? Winning is a matter of how you keep score, right? We're accustomed to judging a winner in relationship to time. A horse is a winner if he comes in faster than others. Student gets a high mark if he finishes his test within a given time, no matter how much knowledge the student had. If it cannot put it all down on paper within a certain time, his knowledge will not be reflective of those grades. We are all programmed to judge success and winning in relation to how fast we can produce visible results. Seldom are people generous enough to give us time to cultivate ourselves. And I think that's becoming more and more true as time passes. Giving time and being patient with people, being patient with success, like especially like in the music industry, if it doesn't hit right off, boom, you're gone, right? In the old days, it used to take years to develop some artists or bands, right? Like the Pong bird, we have to endure criticism from the lesser birds. There you go. Chang, I don't know how to say it. Zoo, I know how to say it. Zoo. More than 2,000 years ago, saw the difficulties that an extraordinary man with an extraordinary vision would encounter in the world in which you live, right? Fortunately, the time to judge the ultimate success of each individual is at the moment of his death. In this case, time is working in our favor. As long as we have the necessary strength to endure the time of self-cultivation like the Pong bird, the ultimate victory belongs to those who endure and persist to die. To die in the end, or maybe die from, I don't know, you say natural causes, but some don't die from natural causes. Defeat is the mother of success. One who is skilled in defeat shall never see destruction, right? And it's that defeat, and I've talked about this before, those challenges, difficulties, trials, those defeats are those moments or points when people are learning the most, acquiring the most, like rockets, right? Case in point, right? Acquiring the most insight. They're developing maybe greater leadership skills. They're developing a greater personality. They're becoming more patient. They're becoming more gracious. They're becoming more refined in their thinking and their attitude, less selfish, more focused, less focused on the self and more focused on the others. They've developed patience. They've developed fortitude. They've developed more consistent attitude towards things, right? How do you endure? You endure by enduring. I spoke to a friend of mine, and I think I had just been married, and I was asking him about 22 years ago. I was asking him, he had been married just a short time, but longer than me. And I was asking him about being married. And I said, what do you do with difficulties and challenges, deal with it. I'm going, what? You just got to deal with it. Basically, he was saying endure, right? There's certain moments, maybe you face your death, maybe you face your mortality, maybe you're facing with the possibility of mortality with a serious illness, or maybe you're just facing aloneness, just broken up, just divorced, just lost a significant someone, and there's no place you can go, and there's nobody who can help, right? I was watching one of those music reaction videos, and somebody was requested a song, and they said, I requested a song because when I was 14, my girlfriend died in a car accident, right? It was what was it? A Beach Boys song, Don't Worry Baby, right? And the two guys just out of college reviewing it kind of went, I don't know what to say this. The reason the request for this song just kind of shut me down, I really can't think of anything to say about this song other than I'm sorry for your loss, and it's a great song. So when it gets that emotional, that deep, even for people who weren't directly involved, remotely involved, right? You feel it. And in that situation, who's really going to help that person? You have to endure by enduring. And the thing is, the good thing about it, though, is that each difficulty that you endure and get through makes the other ones easier. Sometimes by small margins, but nevertheless, experience breeds experience, right? Bottom there, what makes one great it is not that he possesses the image of the knight in shining armor, like St. George slaying the dragon. Such an image has been held dear by the executives who are climbing a corporate ladder. What makes one truly great is knowing how to suffer the insufferable and how to endure the unendurable. Everyone knows how to thrive in good times. It is the trying times that separate the one who has the substance from the one who merely possesses the image. And you've heard time and time again, people in various careers, maybe in business, maybe in the arts, maybe in academia or politics, wherever, losing, like Lincoln. He was a massive loser. People talk about him being one of the greatest presidents ever. But there's one guy, they were just talking about this, there's one guy that had to go through quite a bit of preparation, right? He grew up poor. He grew up not a very handsome guy. He says, and he mentioned later on when he was in politics, that people call me two-faced, right? If I'm two-faced, why would I choose to wear this one, right? So he was self-effacing. That's a good characteristic to have, right? But at the same time, he grew up poor, self-taught. He didn't come from money, and he had to be an apprentice. He couldn't go to college, so he became an apprentice, a law apprentice, an attorney apprentice, and eventually passed the bar. However, it was done back then. And well, before all that happened, he tried to get businesses going, and he failed multiple times. Last time he said, "That's it, I'm done." I think 3 or 4 times. That last time he said, "That's it, I'm done." And it took him about 17 years to pay back all the money that he borrowed for his failed business, right? And if you know anything about business, 95% of new businesses, fail in the first 3 to 5 years. So if you're not ready for life, I have had probably, I've been fired from 5 jobs. I've had 3 major car accidents. I've had cancer. I've had a heart attack. I've had heart failure. I've had COVID. I've had appendicitis. I've had, as I said, multiple car accidents. I've probably had 9 lives at least, right? And how do you keep going? There's a problem with that too, is you might get healthy again, relatively speaking, much healthier maybe than you were in the past, but still there's the mental aspect of it. Man, I had cancer. I almost died. Man, I had a heart attack. Man, I was passed out 4 times on the ER bed there, right? Mentally, that's tough to overcome. But you know what? I had a few setbacks, dull, depressing moments, but I'm generally okay now. Go figure, right? Lincoln's whole life, there's the guy, right? So anyways, Lincoln, well, it tells you here, right? Right. From childhood, Lincoln learned to endure the humiliation that accompanied the obvious and disadvantage of being poor. His existence until the age of 21, his father left his father's, when he left his father's world, was no better than that of a workhorse, right? Left home, never returned. Might not have known what he wanted out of life at the time, but it was clear that he did not want what his first 21 years gave him, right? He did not invite his father to his wedding, nor did he take his family to visit Lincoln, Thomas Lincoln, father. When his father died, Lincoln did not attend the funeral. Some historians think Lincoln had a great contempt for his father's intellectual limitations. I think Lincoln was a man of principle with an intuitive direction in his life objectives, right? So forth, so on. As a child, Lincoln was deprived of family security, living in a violent environment on the frontier. Even more violent than the frontier was the poverty he experienced. Lincoln did his duty for 21 years. Any contribution that he could have made towards his father had made. They were all clear of each other's debt. Without guilt or malice, Lincoln never saw his father again at the age of 21, right? As a lawyer, Lincoln's fee was fair and reasonable. If clients refused to pay, Lincoln sued them. Next one, Lincoln was deeply religious, yet he belonged to no church. He read free-thinking philosophers such as Voltaire, Thomas Paine, so forth. Lincoln had the self-confidence known in his heart that he was devoted to the eye of God, and so forth, right? And during the war years, said he was ruthless, right? Man made for his time, but he failed. He failed in business 3 times. He failed in politics multiple times, and finally, by the ripe old age of 52, he was elected president, finally achieved something that he wanted to achieve, right? He was never elected to office until then. He wasn't successful in business. He grew up poor, basically without a father, no money, right? Difficulties. I think his wife, his first wife, was it, died when he was like, or his fiance, I think, died when he was 27. So, and even when he was married, his wife had mental problems. A couple of children died. So, man, why am I having a bad life? If you look around, a lot of people have bad lives, right? Imagine if I could give you a miracle formula or a pill that would enable you to instantly to eliminate all the negative experience in your life. How wonderful would that be, right? Second paragraph. But the fact is that if such a pill or formula existed, it would not make you happy. Researchers at the University of California at Berkeley, this is one of the rare times she actually uses some academic research, right? Or data. Right? Have backed this up with a study that shows our society puts too much emphasis on eliminating negative experiences when trying to alleviate stress. The absence of negative experience in our life does not alone contribute to the quality of our life. As humans, we need challenges in order to develop fully, right? As I said before, we're basically come into life, we're rough stones, we're a piece of clay. And over time, through challenges, difficulties, and through our own efforts to overcome and to exceed and excel where we've been in the past on a regular basis, we start to refine ourselves, right? We start to hew ourselves down into a potentially priceless or really valuable gem, right? We grow and develop and change for the better, right? For ourselves and for others that we can help, right? The only way to feel truly happy is by confronting these challenges and overcoming them. As children of the divine, we want to touch life's every fiber, even the negative ones, and feel alive by riding high on life itself. Crisis and opportunity. The Chinese word for crisis is made by combining 2 characters, crisis and opportunity. By observing life, the ancient Chinese wise men realized that the true nature of crisis is an opportunity in disguise. This is similar to the Western concept of when God closes the door, he opens a window. Or on the other side of the greatest challenges, the most trying, difficult times that we've had to be patient for and through, are the great rewards or blessings or whatever you want to label them. And I've seen that happen more than once. So that's happened in my life multiple times, right? A renovation of your life, kind of what I'm talking about. We all welcome change for the better. However, change for the better sometimes becomes disguised. Like an old house, in order to renovate and redecorate, first have to tear it up, tear it down, right? So following practical points, these are good. I would read through these, maybe copy this list or take pictures or jot it down, print it out, put it next to your, put it on your bureau, on your desk, whatever, next to you somewhere. These remedies contain the elements of endurance that will propel you through the journey of your dark night, right? Give up struggling. Sometimes you've been trying and trying and trying and trying. At some point you go, screw it. I've tried as much as I can. I got to take a break. I got to do something else. I'm driving myself crazy. And there's a story in a book on, it's an individual who is a money manager, money advisor, how to handle money and all that good stuff. And there was a story in there about an individual who was just working his tail off trying to get his business going. And he couldn't get it going, couldn't get the financing, couldn't find money, couldn't, whatever, nothing was working. So he said, that's it, I'm taking a break. And then he went somewhere, some exotic place, really nice place. And he ended up talking to this individual who ended up who listened to his problems and also his business model. And he said, I'm going to help you. He goes, you're going to let me borrow some money? No, I'm going to give you 10,000, whatever, right? So whatever it was that he needed, to get off the snide, to get over the hump, right? To move forward, that was it. So it was by giving up the struggle, and that's just one story, but there's other stories that you can read about probably in this book. And if you read this material enough, and if you read about the successful enough, they'll tell you their own stories, and there's a lot of similarities between stories. Allowing a solution to make itself clear, right? There you go. Sometimes it's in a vacation, talk to a person. Sometimes it's in a book. Sometimes it's in a movie. Sometimes it's in overhearing something, listening to something said on the radio or television. I don't know, right? 3, work through your agony and grief. That's kind of what I was talking about before. When it could be a business loss, it could be a career loss, it could be job loss, career change. There's kind of a mourning moment for that. You're mourning, not like M-O-U-R, mourning, right? You're mourning the loss of a career choice or opportunity or job or relationship or whatever, right? You got to take time to work through that agony and grief. And we talked about this before, that not all successful people are on the up and up and cheery all the time. That's why. Because life happens. Everybody has down moments. Don't ignore it. Don't try to gloss over it, right? It is what it is. Deal with it. And don't go do drugs. Actually, when I have the most difficult, I don't drink or do drugs anyways, but even when I'm in the most difficult situations, the last thing I want to do is do something that would take away my strength, right? And that would be going off, getting hammered, doing drugs or alcohol or whatever, right? I don't want anything to take away my strength, right? I want to be able to deal with that situation with the greatest health, with the sharpest mind, the sharpest health, the sharpest body, if you will, right? So forth. Liabilities and endurance, the sweet fruit of endurance. I think that was our negative experience in life are essential elements for us to fulfill our intended destiny, right? Unless we possess the power of endurance to live through the dark of the night, we will not see the glory of daybreak. Here's an example. Dr. Martin Luther King, I have my students read a letter from Birmingham jail. He's a great example. Well, he writes a great essay. I use that letter from Birmingham jail as an example of what a great essay is. And it uses probably not all, but many elements of what a great essay is, top to bottom. But he was also a great person, great man, right? So there's an exemplification. The sweet fruit of endurance. Here's another example. Dick is working for a special, right? Story, strategy for romance. You can read through that yourself. Conclusion, right? So again, there's a summary of key points, which is very brief. They're just a couple pages or so, right? So what I would do is, read through, just read through everything. Do a read through everything. Maybe you can annotate, do some annotation. I don't know if you want to print this out, or maybe you can do it online. You can't do it with this copy. Some copies allow you to do annotation online. Not this one, but maybe jot notes down, take some pictures, print stuff out. I don't know what you want to do. But basically, I would just read through everything. And then when you want to take another look at it, the good thing is that you've got these summary of key points. Just kind of get a quick overview of the main points, right? Maybe that's enough for your revisit, or maybe you see a main point here somewhere, and then you go, oh yeah, let me go back and get the details on that, right? So it's a great reference source. All right. I am going to skip over the mystery of money, because this isn't really, I kind of do that in my common sense economics text, because I'm not really trying to give you money advice per se. These are more just achievement principles. So I'm going to skip over that one for the next chapter. And I'm also going to skip over that one. Deception without deceit. I don't connect to that one, so I haven't really read it, so I don't know what even you can read through it, but I'm not a fan of it. I don't use it. I don't know it. So you can read through that, right? Attributes of work. I think this is what we're going to get into next. Okay. And that says chapter 5, but it's not. I think it's 7 or something. Fondest human experience. Yeah, this is a good chapter. So next time I see you, we're going to do the 16 noble attributes of work. Thanks for coming out. Stay healthy, wealthy, and warm. Take care.